What is going on, Headliner Nation? I hope you are ready for some more banger picks here in Week 6. We continue to be on fire this year. 15 of our last 18 picks in this show have hit, and on the season, we're sitting right at 70% on our player pickems. Plus, on top of all of that, our creator pack inside of Underdog's app hit last week as well. Thousands of people more than doubled their money. Now, I will be sharing my creator pack for this week in this video, so be sure to stay tuned. Because we continue to do things differently than everyone else. Our process of picking more winners and focusing on doubling and tripling our money is absolutely working. Now, I love the fact that people are using this video to gain information on players on their own fantasy teams and to win on Underdog. So in today's show, I'm going to be talking about 6 players that have 100% hit rates on the season. So before we dive into the players here in today's show, I have to be sure that you are all signed up and ready to go on Underdog so you can follow along if you'd like. All you got to do is head over to Underdog Fantasy or download the app, create a new account using the referral code Headliners when you do so. Then just make your minimum deposit. By doing that, you're going to be ready for a weekend full of promos that you can absolutely capitalize on. But on top of that, if you sign up with our Headliners promo code and play just $5, you're going to get $100 in bonus funds. It's a no-brainer. Play 5, get 100. Plus, it's Boosttober, so Underdog is sending out promos like crazy that you do not want to miss. It's an absolute no-brainer at this point. But all right, enough of that. Let's go ahead and dive into the players that we're taking a look at here in Week 6. Now, the first player up is Christian McCaffrey of the San Francisco 49ers. Y'all know who he is because there isn't a soul on earth right now that doesn't see Christian McCaffrey's usage and just say, wow, because we're only through 5 games and he has 130 total touches. Now, if that doesn't blow your mind, how about this stat? McCaffrey has also already had 52 targets in 5 games, meaning he's on pace for 177 targets on the season. Now, if we're being realistic, it's going to be hard to expect that to continue the rest of the season. But here, in Week 6, it's for sure possible. George Kittle is still out. Ricky Pearsall is doubtful. Juwan Jennings is questionable, and it looks like Mac Jones is going to be starting at quarterback once again. Mac Jones has targeted CMC 31 times in 3 games this year, and it's not like he's getting little dump-offs that aren't going anywhere. On the season, McCaffrey is averaging 9.9 yards per reception. This Tampa Bay defense is banged up, and Baker Mayfield continues to find ways to put points up on the board. CMC is going to have to be involved in the passing game once again this week. So let's head over to Underdog and see if we can take advantage of this. Now, if you pull up Christian McCaffrey, you're going to see his current receiving total is set to 48.5 yards. Now, he has surpassed that total in all 5 games this season. But remember, we want to boost our odds of hitting. So we're going to take that total and we're going to drop it down to 34.5 yards at a 0.70x multiplier. That will lower the overall payout, but remember, it's going to increase the chances of hitting, and we're just trying to double and triple our money consistently. Now, through the first 5 weeks, Christian McCaffrey is averaging 77.4 receiving yards per game, and he's also had at least 6 receptions in all 5 games this year as well. We mentioned earlier that he's averaging almost 10 yards a reception, so in reality, if he can get just 4 catches this week, this pick will cash. Next player up, Baker Mayfield, quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Baker doesn't get enough credit for his mobility. All of the focus is on the passing touchdowns and Emeka Egbuka being a damn stud out there on the field. But the Bucs are 4-1, and each and every week, Baker Mayfield is out there willing his team to victories. Mac Jones and the beat-up San Francisco offense played just fine last week against a tough Rams team, so you have to think they're still going to challenge Tampa in this game as well. Bucky Irving, he's still out. Chris Godwin isn't 100% healthy, and Mike Evans is doubtful. Baker is going to give his team more chances throughout the game. It's what he does. He tries to extend drives. We have seen Sam Darnold, Spencer Rattler, and Kyler Murray all run for double-digit yards against this San Francisco defense this year. So let's go ahead, let's head over to Underdog and try to take advantage of it. If you pull up Baker Mayfield, you're going to see his current rushing total is set to 17.5 rushing yards. Now, he has hit that total in 3 of his 5 games this year, so there is a chance. However, over the last 2 weeks, he's been at 13 yards and 15 yards. so just under that 17.5 total. So what are we going to do? We're going to drop it down to 9.5 rushing yards at a 0.70x multiplier. Once again, lower the overall payout, but increase our chances of hitting. Now, by lowering it to 9.5 rushing yards, it now becomes a total that he has hit in all 5 games this year, and a total he has hit in 17 of his last 20 games played. We need 3 rush attempts. If we get that, this line should hit easily. Good news is, he's had at least 3 rush attempts in 4 of the 5 games this season alone. Now, after Baker is Jackson Smith-Njigba of the Seattle Seahawks, and when you think of the wide receiver position this year, the best receiver that comes to mind is probably Puka Nacua. Well, JSN only has 54 yards less than Puka on the year. He's averaging a whopping 15.7 yards per reception and has 10 catches of 20 yards or more. That means that nearly 1/3 of his receptions on the year have been for at least 20 yards. JSN hasn't had a game this year with less than 90 yards. Sam Darnold has been playing great, and now they get a matchup going up against Jacksonville. Now, the Jags have allowed over 300 yards passing in 3 of their last 4 games played, so let's head over to Underdog and definitely take advantage of this. If you pull up Jackson Smith-Njigba, you're going to see that his current receiving total is set to 76.5 receiving yards. That is a total he has already hit in all 5 of his games this season, so for sure, there's a chance that he does it once again this week. But remember, we want to better our odds. So we're going to take that total and drop it down to 59.5 receiving yards at a 0.72x multiplier. Once again, lowering the payout, but increasing our chances of hitting, because that's what it's all about. Now, by lowering the total down to 59.5, obviously, it's still something he's hit in all 5 games this year, but now it also becomes a total he has actually hit in 13 of his last 15 games played. He's absolutely killing it this year. He's averaging over 100 yards per game. In a matchup going up against the Jags, you have to think the chance of him hitting this line is fairly easy. Now, next up is Keenan Allen of the Los Angeles Chargers, and we are 5 weeks into the season, and we are still seeing vintage Keenan. He's currently 8th in the NFL in targets with 44. He's taken those 44 targets, turned them into 29 receptions for 289 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, simple math tells you, on the year, that's an average of 9 targets, 6 catches, and 58 yards per game. Super solid on the season. But now he gets a matchup going up against Miami, and things get even better. We already know LA just lost their starting running back in Omarion Hampton, and right now their running game is Hassan Haskins and Kamani Vidal. It's not that pretty. But we also know that LA has lost some offensive line pieces this year as well. So if you can't run the ball with success, you use the short passing game to keep the chains moving. It's exactly what Keenan Allen is doing. 18 of his 29 receptions on the year have been for a first down. But there's an even bigger reason to like Keenan this week. Quentin Johnston is currently questionable to play with a hamstring injury. Now, as long as LA isn't lying about that, the chances of him playing, or at least playing a full snap count, is just not likely. And if that's the case, that would boost up the potential for targets going the way of Keenan Allen in Week 6. So now, let's head over to Underdog and take advantage of it. If you pull up Keenan Allen, you're going to see his current reception total is set to 5.5, but he's only had 6 or more receptions 2 times this season. Now, obviously, his role could be increased this week, so he for sure has a chance at that number, but we want to better our odds. So we're going to take that reception total and drop it down to 4.5 at a 0.81x multiplier. I love those 0.8s. They still barely lower the overall payout, but it really does boost it at the end. It gets us closer to tripling our money. Now, when we do that and we drop it down to 4.5, now it becomes a total that he has hit in every game this season, as well as in 10 of his last 12 games played. You have to think, with any limitations to Quentin Johnston, it should be easy for Keenan Allen to rack up 5 receptions in Week 6. Now, after him is Jake Ferguson of the Dallas Cowboys, and with CeeDee Lamb injured, Ferguson is out there just gobbling up volume all over the place. He has 42 targets over the last 4 games played. He's also had at least 7 receptions in 4 straight games. We know that Kevontae Turpin is once again a long shot to play in Week 6. CeeDee Lamb is looking like a Week 7 return. So why would the volume just magically disappear now? especially in a game going up against Carolina. They allow the second most fantasy points per game to the tight end position on the year, and opposing tight ends have found success against them most of the season. So this is definitely something we want to try to take advantage of on Underdog. Now, if you pull up Jake Ferguson, you're going to see that his current reception total is set to 5.5 receptions. Now, that total right there is something he's been able to hit in 4 of the 5 games this season, so he could for sure do it again. But if we want to better our odds, we can drop it down to 4.5 receptions at a 0.71x multiplier. Now, once we drop it down to 4.5 receptions, it becomes a number he has hit in all 5 games this year. And given the fact we have seen Ferguson have 7+ receptions a game since CeeDee Lamb's injury, trying for 5 this week seems like an absolute lock, especially in a matchup against Carolina. Now, last but not least is Kyren Williams of the Los Angeles Rams, and Kyren carried fantasy teams to victories with a huge week 5 last week. He had 131 total yards and 2 touchdowns. He's 5th in the NFL in carries, and he just played 91% of the snaps last week. And over the last 3 games, we've actually seen an increase in efficiency from Kyren Williams. Over the last 3, he's averaging 5 yards per carry, which is not what we're used to with Kyren Williams. He has an absolute stranglehold on this backfield, and now they get a matchup against Baltimore, who statistically is the 2nd worst defense in the NFL. Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, Chidobe Awuzie, they still aren't healthy. But on top of that, neither is Lamar Jackson, who probably won't be back till week 8, which probably means the Rams get a lead and do what? Yes, run the football. This Ravens defense has given up over 100 yards rushing in every game this season. Now, on top of all of that, there's also a chance for some rain in this game. Now, typically in rain games, teams lean on the run a little bit more. Things are just lining up for another big-time Kyren Williams week. So how can we take advantage of that this week? Well, if you go and pull up Kyren Williams on Underdog, you're going to see his current rushing total is set at 75.5 yards. It's kind of a high total for him, and he's only hit it in 40% of the games this year and in 65% of his last 20 games played. So let's better the odds. We're going to drop it down to 59.5 rushing yards at a 0.73x multiplier. Yes, we'll lower the payout just to get the possibility of this hitting. And I will tell you exactly why. When we drop it down to 59.5 rushing yards, we see all of a sudden that he has hit that total not only in all 5 games this season, but he's hit it in 95% of his last 20 games played. The usage that he's seen, plus the matchup that he has in potential bad weather, this is more than attainable this week in week 6 for Kyren Williams. All right, so there are 6 plays with 100% hit rates here in 2025. Now, if you watch this and you just want more, you need to become a channel member and hop into our Discord. Because members with full chub and excessive chub got over 30 plays posted in there that have a hit rate of 80% or higher. But maybe you're sitting out there saying, I can't play on Underdog. What am I supposed to do? Members of our channel also get a huge discount to NextPlay. Now, NextPlay is another Discord that posts plays from all different sites and sportsbooks. So if you want to be responsible and continually double and triple your money like we have been this season, consider officially becoming a member of Headliner Nation, hopping in our Discord, and even joining NextPlay. But I also told you at the beginning of the show that I would share my Underdog creator pack. There is a link to everything down below in the description, but this is what we've chosen here for week 6. Now, we tried to up the payout a little bit here without sacrificing too much at the hit rate. So we went with Jaylen Warren over 18.5 receiving yards, AJ Barner, the tight end of Seattle, over 19.5 receiving yards, and then Christian McCaffrey over the 34.5 receiving yards. Underdog has actually boosted that to over 4x your money, so a lot of people are going to get in on that and have a lot of fun. But just like I always do in all my other videos here, I always throw together a touchdown ticket as well. And to try to better our odds at hitting that one, let's just stick to some bell cow running backs. Let's go Kyren Williams, Josh Jacobs, and Christian McCaffrey for an anytime touchdown. Best of luck though to everyone here in week 6. I hope you all see a lot of green on your screens in week 6.